bad vibes. There are people that will send out bad vibes, bad energy, bad wishes, bad intent. Today, I want to talk about the biggest, hugest mistake they are making and why it's such a big mistake for themselves. And I also want to talk about how understanding that mistake that's being made can help you if you're the target. And if you're new to the channel, I want to welcome you. Okay, we're talking about bad vibes first. I get it, but it's going to be positive. Trust me. Make sure to click subscribe, click the notification button too to get all future videos, especially if you're developing your intuition on an intuitive path. That's what this whole channel is about. I added it up recently, and I've been working as a professional intuitive for about 18 years. That's a lot, right? And for the majority of it, for those that don't know me too well yet, for the majority of it, I've done a lot of spiritual clearings, a lot. I have done spiritual clearings for individuals, for homes. I've done extreme spiritual clearings that somebody would put in the category of like an exorcism. Those are very rare. Mostly though, I'm doing clearings of people who have a spiritual attachment. Every now and then in that side of the work that I did, I would run across somebody who had bad intentions, bad energy being sent to them from another living person. And pop culture will call that a curse, so I've had people come to me and say, I'm cursed. I need you to fix the curse, right? But I want to break this down. I want to get really real about the concept of curse because there's some reality to it and then there's some non-reality to it. And then I want to talk about what happens to the individual that does send out, if it is the case, because we're going to talk about that. If it is the case, I want to talk about what happens to the individual that sends out bad energy, bad vibes. And if you're watching this, chances are really good you're not the kind of person that would do that. But this is going to be also maybe a good video to remember that on your not so greatest day where you're like, ooh, I wish. And then you'll be like, wait, now that I've heard Bo explain what would happen to me, I'm not going to do that. I'm not going to do that. All right, so first let's talk about, the very real situation that happens around bad vibes being sent, bad energy being sent, or some people label it as a curse, and the not so real, right? That happens as well. But then I also, like I said, want to talk about what happens to the person who actually does send it out. Because I know that there's some standards out there. Some people think about like, oh, the threefold rule, whatever you send out, it'll come back to you threefold. Yeah, I've got worse news for the people that send something out negative. It's not that it just comes back to you threefold, but we'll get into that. Okay. Like I said, I've run into so many different situations where somebody has come to me and said, I think I'm cursed. And I'm going to run off of general percentages here of all the people that I've helped in different situations. I'd say about 80% of these people did have some form of bad energy, bad wishes, bad intent being sent their way. It is true. Who you think about, you bring about. Who you think about, you connect with. If you think about somebody, a friend even for a while, they might reach out and text you or call you because they can feel that connection. We are all connected. We are. It's just how it is. And this is why if we think about negative stuff all the time and we put negative stuff in front of us, like please take a news break, right? Because if we're constantly consuming it, there are psychological, chemical reasons why that's not good for you. But I'm here to talk about the spiritual reasons that it's not good for you. That's what gets filled up into your energy field. And so I have seen, like I said, about 80% of the people that come to me and say, okay, there's bad things, like I feel like somebody's doing something bad, right? Most of the time that connection is there and it's purely intent. On a very rare situation, I have seen what I would define as somebody putting a curse on someone else. Now, here's where I want to get really real about this. If somebody contacts me, now I'm going to talk about the 20%, right? And I'm not going to be super warm and fuzzy about this because this is the reality of it. When somebody comes to me and says, this 17-year-old boy who is a shaman cursed me and he's from Idaho. That's probably not what's really going on, right? But if someone's second cousin related to a great aunt who lives in a country where the practice of that is still very alive, and that is not the United States and is not Idaho, I will actually honor that. That could be the case. And I have had people come to me and say, I worked with this person, I got really bad feelings about it, and then I stopped working with them, and they're from this location and from this group and history and tradition, and I feel like something bad is happening to me now because I tried to stop interacting with them. Did you hear the words tradition and practice? If somebody comes from knowledgeable tradition that utilized things like bad intent and curses and things like this, I'll actually pay attention. I'm not naive enough to think that none of that is real. I'm not going to step into that. I'm also not naive enough to think everyone who thinks they're cursed is really cursed. So in this small percent, that would be an actual situation, but in the small percent, it's going to be somebody who is struggling with something. Here's the reality of it. They're struggling with something and they can't figure out what it is. And perhaps they've been interacting in a spiritual world with somebody who doesn't know what they're doing at all spiritually and just likes to play house with it, And it sounded a little extreme, right? For me to say, a 17-year-old boy from Idaho or whatever. I've literally had someone come to me and said, this shaman cursed me. And I'm like, well, who's the shaman? Oh, he lives here. And I'm like, okay, all right. That's not really a population that hosts a lot of shamans that curse people, but tell me more. And they were like, yeah, I think he was like he's 17. And I was like, okay, that doesn't fit. So we have to get a little curious about what's going on, right? There's never been a case that anyone has ever come to me just for the fun of it and said it. Every situation I've ever dealt with somebody who has had bad intentions or bad vibes being sent their way, harmful type energy, right? Every situation, either that is being sent to them, that 80%, right? Either there is a connection to somebody that really knows how to do it on a high level, or somebody in their life is consistently sending out bad intentions to this person. But then there's that small percentage, right? Where I can't recall a time that somebody told me that just to tell me that, just for sensationalism. I've never run into that. But that small percent where that's not what was happening. There was no cursing happening, right? They weren't cursed. And there wasn't anyone sending them bad energy either. That has happened, but in that case, there is always something that is underlining, that is hurting them, that is blocking them, that is causing them some stress. In that situation, what I typically do is I typically ask if they have a support structure. What's your support structure? Do you have a therapist? Do you follow a particular religion? Is there a religious support structure? Is there a non-religious support structure? What's your group? Where are you at? Who's around you and who can help you to talk through things and uncover some things that are blocking you and hurting you? But not every time, like I said, someone's come to me and said, hey, someone's sending me bad intentions. Not every time has it actually been the case. Most of the time it is. Let's get into that. Now, so that was the not so nice part of not everyone that says that there's a curse out there is. By the way, too, can I just throw in a pitch? If you are seeing a reader or an energy worker or a healer who tells you you're cursed and you have to buy a candle or a stone or something to release a block or to release a curse, I guarantee you they're going to try to sell you that. Let me say it again. I guarantee you they're going to try to sell you that crap for at least 3 digits, at least in the hundreds. Some clients I've had come to me who have been taken for the thousands. So any legit ethical energy worker, reader, whatever, they don't need to see you 4, 5, 6 times. You don't need to keep coming back to fix what they're telling you is wrong with you and paying them more and more and more. Just keep that in mind. A good ethical reader energy worker will see you 2, maybe 3 times at the most. It'll be a standard rate. There's no upsell. There's no, hey, well, you're so broken that you need this $2,000 crystal. Walk away. Bye. Have a good day. Okay, that's my pitch. Can you tell it's one of my pet peeves? These people that are out there scamming people. Summary. Let's bring it back in. I've seen a lot of people that have been affected by negative energy, intense purpose, sometimes on a rare occasion, a true curse from other people. The majority of them, it is what's happening. We do energy work, and this is where I'm going to talk about GCP, and I help them to establish a practice, a protection practice for themselves. Clear it all out, break it free. They do not have to come back to get another candle or an expensive second session, right? Almost every single clearing I've ever done, it's been one visit. Then there's that small percentage that they think that that's what's happening to them, but it ends up that's not what's happening to them. And they just need more support in their immediate circle to be able to mentally work through some of the blocks and struggles they're dealing with. Okay, here we go. This is where we get into GCP. And then I'm going to talk about what happens to the people that send this energy. GCP is a practice I've been trying to teach. I've been teaching people all at this point all over the globe. GCP is simple. My guide laid it out for me years ago. The magic in GCP, and I'll tell you what it is. I'll give you a link if you want to watch like a video on it. The magic of GCP is that in the order it's done, and then done in a way that kind of resonates with you, it's very effective. In the end, it's ground, clear, protect. You ground first, then you clear out the energies that are not yours and you don't need, and then you create a protective space around you. And that protective space is a filter saying that which is not supposed to come in will not. Meaning, negative energies from somebody else can't get through, right? They can send intent all they want, right? 2-year-old can throw a temper tantrum all they want, but it doesn't have to come through. Okay, on a bad day, that might stress you out. But anyway, what's not supposed to be on your path won't come through. When it comes to GCP, it's a practice that takes, once you've done it a few times, it takes just a short amount of time to do it, a few seconds, really. Do it every day, every night. What that does is it helps you to recognize that you are an energetic being walking through this agreed upon reality with an energetic body. And what you experience in this life gets absorbed into that energetic body, and then that affects how you feel, how you think, how you sleep, how you eat, how your health is. So all this practice is doing is saying, I am an energetic being. I'm not just, skin, blood, and bones. I am an energetic being, and the energy that is within me is really defining my forward momentum in my life. So there are 7,000 benefits to GCP. Again, free practice. I will put a link in here. If that's the only thing you do that. You'll see within a week, life is a little different. And you're like, this is really interesting. So recognizing on a regular basis your energetic body is like recognizing that you're a physical body having to go out in the rain. You should probably put a raincoat on. You're a physical body having to go out in 10-degree weather. You should probably put, 10 degree, Celsius, but you should probably, Fahrenheit. You should probably go out with like gear to stay warm. So doing something like GCP is your way of recognizing how you're moving through this world energetically, because our energetic body extends outside of our physical body. Now, when we're not taking care of that, and we have the mixture of having another living person sending us bad energy, bad thoughts, bad intentions. I hope they don't do well. I hope they get hurt. I hope they're this. Or that's like the base level, right? That's just somebody hoping for your downfall. And I'm sorry, it's out there. And even if you're the nicest person on the planet, you're still going to run into someone like that, right? It just frustrates me that they exist, but it's part of our whole dynamic being here. That's the base level of it, just somebody sort of wishing that. Then you have someone in any practice spiritually who is setting the intent of actually sending energy your way that will be harmful to you. That's no point. That's no good. That's no. And the thing about that is that when you're taking care of your energetic body and you have that filter, and that energy is not for your highest good, they can't achieve it. They can't achieve sending that into your energy field. If we're not paying attention to it, if we're just walking around saying, I'm just human, just a body, that's all I am, right? Then this energetic body that's out here that you're not even, acknowledging, you're kind of ignoring, it's not even there, I'm not going to pay attention to it. I don't ever feel anything energetically when I walk into a room. Like when I talk to a skeptic, they're like, oh, well, we're not, energetic beings. Yeah, you've never walked into a room and felt the vibe. Never. So when we're not taking care of it and just acknowledging it and putting something around that says, hey, if it's not supposed to come in, it doesn't, then that energy does come in and it starts to affect us in a negative way. You can work with an energy worker once or twice, no candles, no purchasing of $1,000 crystals, right? But you can work with an energy worker who can clear that out and who can set up the boundaries. Let's get to the person that sends that energy. And I'll summarize the GCP part by if you're using GCP on a daily, there's very few living human beings on this planet that could get through that. It's just, they have to be raised on this energy sending thing. They have to be super trained and super skilled. So it's just so rare. But the person that is sending you bad vibes, bad energy, kind of a lightness to the one that's just wishing you had a bad life. But the ones that are sitting down and actually setting the intent and hoping that what they send you hurts you, and again, I wish those people weren't around, but they are, they actually are creating the intent within them. So when I hear somebody, who's following a spiritual practice, they say, oh, well, if you send something out bad, it'll come back to you and then hurt you. I tend to step in and say, have you ever considered the fact that it's hurting you from the beginning? Because you created it. It started within you. Then you sent it out. So this isn't like you put together like a pair of shoes in a shoebox, threw it boomeranged, and came back and hit you in the head. No. This is an intent that you're creating within your mind, within your energetic space. You're bringing it out into the world. Then you're sending out. Guess where it started? Within you. Guess where it still is? Within you. If your practice isn't, I get it, but if the person's practice is to think up, put together, send out bad energy to somebody else to affect them in a negative way, everything that they've sent out is equally, if not more, within them. It's why over time we see people who do this, who get sick, physically ill, just really bad physical stuff can happen to them, bad luck, finances, all this kind of stuff. And then they get angrier and then they get madder and then they send out more bad energy and they're not paying attention to the fact that it's all within here. Wherever it starts is where it resides. Wherever it starts is wherever even the residual of it remains. You don't bake a horrible batch of cookies, put the cookies in the oven, and not have to deal with the fact that the bowl you mix it in is caked on the sides with some of that dough. It stays within you. So it's not that it goes out and comes back. It's there. That's where you started. This is also why people who have good intentions and want to help people and want to go out into this world find great success. I'm going to talk about the exceptions, right? Because at the time I'm making this video, I can actually think of a pretty big exception. But for the most part, if your heart's in the right place and if you're compassionate, setting healthy boundaries, absolutely, not letting, anything, dismay you, et cetera, but taking what you love and what you're passionate about, bringing it out into the world, guess what's inside you? More of that. So what you're helping other people do, you get more of. What you're teaching other people, you're still teaching yourself. So negative people, what they're telling other people, what they're sending out in the world is what is building up within them. And it's a vicious spiral. It's a vicious spiral. It's why, and I'll talk about the exception that's popping up in my head. There's a pretty specifically famous person right now that is witnessing a huge downfall. And I'm kind of chuckling because at the time you're watching this, like if you're watching this or listening to this on audio, currently you'll be like, oh, she's talking about so-and-so because it's a pretty big story in the news. But if you're listening to this 6 months from now, there's probably another one in the news. So you see these famous people that like rise up to fame or whatever, and then all of a sudden starts to become uncovered, the practices that they do behind the scenes and nobody sees. And then what? They fall, they lose everything. Some go to jail, some lose everything, right? And so what you create is what you build up within your core. So I am very human. I'm very real about it. There's not an ounce of me that enjoys any sort of guru concept status. Not interested. Here's what I know. Can I help? That's kind of where I'm at. But being very human, I'm still going to have a day every now and then where I'm going to be like, yeah, well, like in my personal life, I'll be like, yeah, well, meh, 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 meh. And then I will instantly catch it and say, correction, that wasn't cool. I don't feel that way. And I'm going to back it up with, no, I wish the best and the highest good for the person, right? I'll catch myself. It doesn't happen very often. Okay, it used to happen a lot when I was younger. I mean, but I was a little whippersnapper. But the older I get, the more I understand about the spiritual realms, the more I understand about the energetic body, the more I understand about how all of this works. And this is why I'm here trying to have the sessions and talk about these different components and how they work. The more I understand it all and want to help other people understand it all, the more it changes some of my, daily practices, realizing if I do wish something negative on the person that, I ran into it at the park or something, I don't know, just trying to think, because I can't think of anything recently, but if I do, I know enough to know, I don't want that in me. I don't want that in me, right? I can be direct. I can set boundaries. Much better at it today than I used to be. And I could do all of that. But if I catch myself having a really bad day and having a thought like that, I'll stop and be like, I don't want that in me. I don't want that in me. Even if it's not aimed at someone else, I still don't want it in me, right? And at this point, I'm not going to aim anything at anybody else. I figured out the system enough to realize that they're going to do their own spiral on their own way. I just need to sort of step out of the way and let, as I've heard people say, let karma handle it. So for me, I focused almost all of my time on things that are uplifting, supportive. I'm a fantastic cheerleader, or I'm chilling and hiding in my little personal cave and rebuilding and filling myself up. So if somebody is negative and they send something out negative into the world, they have at least equal within them what they've sent out to everyone else. And then they wonder why everything falls apart. Here's where we get to the person that it was sent to. I want to demystify how difficult this is to get out of it, because people have this happening and then there's a bit of a panic sometimes and they're like, how do I stop this? And we've got pop culture, we've got movies, we've got all the, we've got different things that have told us, right, that maybe we're not strong or maybe we can't stop something or whatever. And these things do reside in our heads. And we find out somebody's sending bad intentions, that they are affecting us, because we're all connected, we're all energetic. And then maybe there's a little bit of nervousness around if you'll be able to fix that or stop it. I appreciate that nervousness. I have run into a lot of people that have had that, but this is what I'm going to tell you. If someone is intentionally sending you bad energy, they are far weaker than you. I don't care what they say, what they wear, who they try to tell the world they are. When I run into people like that, I just think, oh, look at you. So there's this mysticism around them. But the truth is, if that's what they're doing, that's what they're building within. They are probably doing it to more than one person as well, which means they are piling within them everything that they think they're sending out successfully to everyone else. They are weak. It's sad, actually, too. And I would love for them to be like, you know what, this isn't working. I'd like to not do this anymore. But, we can't change everybody. But what I can tell you is if someone's doing that, they are functioning out of a deep set insecurity, out of a deep set weakness, because that is their practice. They are weak, right? So it's like running a race against somebody who has overexhausted themselves so much that they can barely stand up at the start line. And I want you to think about that. If you're at the start line with the person who has been sending you bad energy, look at them, like actually look at it and say, and recognize, I don't think they're strong, because they're not. Because that practice weakens them consistently and repetitively. And then they mask it behind this, I'm so awesome. Okay. So please know that when it comes to bad energy, I'm not going to say like sending it out and getting it back 3 times is wrong. No, none of that is wrong. But what I want you to think about is when bad energy is sent out, bad intentions are sent out, they start and remain and build within the person that sent them. Okay, let's do something a little lighter. Jump over to this video next. It's going to be a great component to your intuitive development.